The November 15th, 2022 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature will now come to order. Will you, Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Alcoffer. Mr. Alcoffer is present. Ms. Barnhart. Ms. Barnhart is present. Mr. Baines. Mr. Baines is present. Mr. Blankley. Mr. Blankley is present. Mr. Brew. Mr. Brew is present. Mr. Burgess. Mr. Burgess is present. Mr. Colby. Mr. Colby is present. Mr. Delahaney. Mr. Delahaney is present. Ms. Delvecchio Hoffman. Ms. Delvecchio Hoffman is present. Mrs. DeFlorio. Mrs. DeFlorio is present. Mr. Dondorfer. Mr. Dondorfer is present. Mr. Frazier. Mr. Frazier is present. Ms. Hasman. Ms. Hasman is present. Mr. Hebert. Mr. Hebert is present. Ms. Hughes Smith. Ms. Hughes Smith is present. Mr. Johns. Mr. Johns is present. Mr. Keller. Mr. Keller is present. President Lamar. President Lamar is present. Mr. Long. Mr. Long is present. Mr. Mafucci. Mr. Mafucci is present. Mr. McCabe. Mr. McCabe is present. Mr. Milne. Mr. Milne is present. Mr. Morris. Mr. Morris is present. Ms. Roman. Ms. Ms. Roman is present. Ms. Smith. Ms. Smith is present. Ms. Taylor is excused. Ms. Vasquez Simmons. Ms. Vasquez Simmons is present. Ms. Vecchio. Ms. Vecchio is present. And Mr. Udelson is excused.
Please stay seated. I would like to introduce Reverend Virginia Tyler Smith, former rector of St. John's Episcopal Church and transition officer for the Episcopal Diocese of Greater Rochester, who has been invited by Legislator Rich Milne to lead us in a moment of prayer.
Yep, you come right to the podium.
Good evening. Please join with me in prayer. O God, the fountain of wisdom, whose will is good and gracious, and whose law is truth, we thank you for these men and women of the Monroe County Legislature who have given themselves to serve our public good. We beseech you to guide and bless them, that they may enact such laws as shall please you, and in doing so, retain, restore, and renew dignity, justice, and safety for all our citizens. Bring down upon them the spirit of wisdom, charity, and compassion. Give them courage and foresight, that with steadfast purpose they may faithfully serve in their offices to promote the well-being of all people, both this evening and at all future times in their work. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Smith. I would like to present you with this token of appreciation. Thank you. Please stand as Legislator McCabe will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Legislator McCabe.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I will ask you to stand back up, please. Without objection, we will take agenda item number 34 out of the regular agenda order. Agenda item number 34 is moved by Legislator Brew and seconded by Legislator Roman. Will the clerk please read the resolution expressing regret of the Monroe County Legislature on the recent passing of Belen Cologne, mother of County Legislator Mercedes Vasquez Simmons.
Expressing regret of the Monroe County Legislature on the recent passing of Belen Cologne, mother of Monroe County Legislator Mercedes Vasquez Simmons. Be it resolved that the Monroe County Legislature hereby expresses its deepest sympathy at the recent passing of Belen Cologne of Rochester, a longtime community activist and public servant who passed away Thursday, November 12th, 2022. And whereas Belen Colon was born in Puerto Rico on November 2nd, 1938, and passed away peacefully on November 12, 2022, at the age of 84. She is survived by her children Gabriel, Mateo, Mercedes, Borgen, Norma, Abigail, Rosen, and Devin, many grandchildren and great-grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and friends. And whereas Belen was known as the mayor of Clinton Avenue, or La Avenida, the name affectionately given to the North Clinton Avenue. And whereas Belen was very active in St. Michael's Church and worked closely for many years with Father Lawrence Tracy, who together were tireless advocates for the Latino community. And whereas Belen worked with and on behalf of our youth in the Rochester City School District, retiring in 2009 as a paraprofessional at Roberto Clemente School Number 8 after nearly 35 years of dedicated service. And whereas Belen will be remembered as a community advocate and fighting for human rights. She was a woman of service, a loving mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother who was extremely committed to helping others. And be it resolved that the clerk of the legislature is hereby requested to forward a copy of the resolution to the bereaved family. This resolution was adopted unanimously, with each legislator rising in his or her place for a moment of silence.
Next item on the agenda is the approval of the journal. Your copies of the journal of day 14, 2022, October 11, 2022, and day 15 of 2022, October 21st, 2022. Special meetings are available through Novus Agenda. Without exception, the journal will stand approved as submitted. Legislators, the referrals submitted to the legislature for the next committee cycle are available on Novus Agenda as well. There are several proclamations scheduled this evening. Mr. Clerk?
Would Debbie Evans of the Irondequoit Community Cupboard please come forward? Also, legislators Dave Long, Maria Vecchio, President Sabrina Lamar, and County Executive Adam J. Bello.
The Monroe County Legislature recognizes Irondequoit Community Cupboard, whereas it is the sense of this legislature to honor and celebrate the people and organizations that make Monroe County a better place to live, and whereas attendant to such concern, these legislators are justly proud to honor the Irondequoit Community Cupboard for the contributions to fighting hunger in our community. And whereas the Irondequoit Community Cupboard was founded in 1995 by Debbie Evans after she observed children in the community who did not have their basic needs met, and the cupboard began as a pantry that was run out of her home until 2004. And whereas Ms. Evans devoted her time and passion to establish the Irondequoit Community Cupboard as a not-for-profit organization in 2003, and later was able to expand to a larger facility. And whereas Irondequoit Community Cupboard went from assisting 5 to 9 families per week to on average 155 households per month. And whereas Irondequoit Community Cupboard helps the community year-round, they also try to meet special needs for important holidays, provide school supplies and household essentials, including food. And whereas Irondequoit Community Cupboard advocates for those in need and influence public policy, so every person in our community has the necessary support and resources to enhance their nutrition, health, and welfare. Now, therefore, let it be known that we, Sabrina Lamar, President, Dave Long, Legislator District 16, and Maria Vecchio, Legislator District 17, do hereby honor Irondequoit Community Cupboard for their commitment to serving Rochester and Monroe County on this 15th day of November 2022.
We will now recess until 6:15 for the purpose of holding a public meeting, the public hearing. I now declare open the public hearing entitled Authorizing a Lease by Negotiation with 400 West Avenue LLC to use and occupy space at 400 West Avenue in the city of Rochester, New York.
No one was registered for this public hearing this evening.
There being none, I declare this public hearing closed. I now declare open the public hearing entitled Waiver of Residency Requirement for Monroe County Jail Deputies.
No one was registered for this public hearing this evening.
There being none, I declare this public hearing closed. We will now reconvene the November 15th, 2022 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature. There are no formal committee reports scheduled for this evening. We will now hold the public forum. We have several people registered to address the legislature. Mr. Clerk?
If you require assistance, a deputy is available to assist you in approaching the lectern. I will call 3 people forward at one time. Each speaker will have 2 minutes in which to address the legislature, and kindly conclude your remarks when the timer sounds, and then exit through the door right over here to my right. Thank you for your cooperation. Our first 3 speakers are Julie Donahue, Jessica Kilpatrick, Carla Halstead, Carla Halstead.
Many of your constituents have spoken here in regards to the harm that has been done to them and to their loved ones during this so-called pandemic, yet there has not been any calls for change. I'm going to read you a few points from an article posted on the NIH website called COVID Update, What is the Truth? The COVID-19 pandemic is one of the most manipulated infectious disease events in history, characterized by unofficial lies in an unending stream led by government bureaucracies, medical associations, medical boards, the media, and international agencies. Neither Anthony Fauci, the CDC, the WHO, nor any medical governmental establishment has ever offered any early treatment other than Tylenol, hydration, and call an ambulance when you have difficulty breathing. This is unprecedented in the entire history of medical care, as early treatment of infections is critical in saving lives and preventing severe complications. Not only have these medical organizations and federal lapdogs not even suggested early treatment, they attacked anyone who attempted to initiate such treatments. With all the weapons at their disposal, loss of license, removal of hospital privileges, shaming, destruction of reputation, and even arrest. One must keep in mind that this event never satisfied the criteria for a pandemic. The World Health Organization changed the criteria to make this a pandemic. To qualify for a pandemic status, the virus must have high mortality rate for the vast majority of people, which it didn't, with a 99.98% survival rate. And it must have no known existing treatments, which the virus had. In fact, a growing number of very successful treatments. In addition, it was known that wearing a mask for over 4 hours, which occurs at schools, results in significant hypoxia and hypercapnia, which have a number of harmful effects on health, including impairing the developments of the children's brain. While most researchers, virologists, and infectious disease researchers have been intimidated to silence a growing number of high integrity individuals with tremendous expertise have come forward to tell the truth, that is, that these vaccines are deadly. What we do know is the major medical centers, such as Mayo Clinic, receive tens of millions of dollars in NIH grants each year, as well as monies from the pharmaceutical makers of their experimental vaccines. In my view, that is the real consideration driving these policies. If this could be proven in a court of law, the administrators making these mandates should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and sued by all parties injured. I have left copies of this article for each and every one of you.
Hello, I'm Jessica Kilpatrick. Y'all know me, right? So I work for Child Protective Services on the training team. So I train the new caseworkers that are hired to investigate reports of abuse and neglect. So I come here and I speak about, the vacancies. We continue to have vacancies. Currently, if caseworkers that are on full rotation are getting at least a case a day, some are getting 2 a day. We can't do our job if you're getting a case a day. So things will get overlooked, kids will be left in unsafe situations, and kids will probably die. This isn't to shock you, this is just me, telling you the truth. I think that, we are very appreciative of the raise that we received. We all received a raise. Well, most of us received a raise that went into our checks on Friday or the Friday before. Yeah, the Friday before. I just want to say that it's not keeping people because people are continuing to leave. So while it is appreciated, it's unprecedented. People continue to leave, which puts more burden of the work on the people who are left. And people really care about child welfare. They want to see children blossom in their own home, stay at home, not enter foster care, and not die. So we don't have all of the answers. My job is child welfare and teaching it to others and come and speaking to you about what's going on. So I need you guys to brainstorm about, what changes could be made. You guys hold way more power than we do. I'm a senior caseworker, so I oversee caseworkers. But we're in every zip code. All of you in the suburbs, we are in your suburbs. There are children that are neglected all over Monroe County, and we are in crisis. So I don't know if you have a meeting in December, but I'll see you then if you do. Okay, thanks.
Hello, my name is Carla Halstead. I've lived in Irondequoit for 26 years, and I'm here tonight as a member of Color Irondequoit Green. I would like to thank you for supporting our Monroe County Climate Action Plan. We are poised to make real, positive, and large-scale change for our community. In order to see this progress, we would like to ask you to hire staff dedicated solely to implementing the County Climate Action Plan, a line item for climate action added to the budget to address community level work that needs to be done, and the creation of multiple compost facilities. Building these facilities would allow us to meet the New York State DEC food donation and food scraps recycling law. We'd be eliminating the need to transport these materials, and we'd be creating jobs. And tons of food would bypass landfills. Food in the landfill creates methane, which is one of the most potent climate change gases. Composting, on the other hand, creates rich organic material that builds back our soil and actually creates revenue. It's currently estimated that 30 to 40% of all the food in the U.S. that is created is lost to waste. Composting is a tool to reclaim that huge amount of material. It is easy to feel overwhelmed in the face of climate change, and that as an individual, we can't make a difference, but we are more powerful than we know. Climate action is created through small communities choosing to make this commitment. New York State towns and counties work under something called home rule, and municipalities have to agree and pass legislation, and that is what we're asking you to do tonight. What we do right here, right now, can make big change for us and our future. Thank you.
Our next 3 speakers are Carol Tegas, Bellany Bernhardt, and Bruce Sprague.
I'm here to talk about ARPA funding. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Carol Tagus, and I'm the Executive Director of Finger Lakes Performing Provider System, a nonprofit organization that's made up of hundreds of healthcare and community-based organizations in the 13-county region. We manage community-wide, large-scale system transformation projects in the healthcare delivery system. I'm here on behalf of our community partners, as well as the two major health systems in our county, University of Rochester Medical Center and Rochester Regional Health. As you have seen in the recent news, we are in a crisis in Monroe County in our hospitals. Right now, people who are in the emergency room spend hours and sometimes days languishing in chairs and beds and in hallways because there are no beds available in the inpatient units. All 4 hospitals are full every single day, largely because of unprecedented numbers of hospitalizations that are occurring and people languishing because they cannot move into nursing home beds. At any point in time, there are 300 people in our local hospitals who are ready to be discharged into nursing homes, but cannot be transferred due to the inability of nursing homes to take those patients. The backlog of patients makes for a dangerous situation in our emergency rooms, which continue to use these hallways and chairs and any available space to treat and board patients. With a large increase in pediatric hospitalizations due to RSV infections and the projected increases in COVID and flu coming up, the current situation will become even worse if we do not address the crisis that we have. The public health officials are calling this the triple-demic. Frankly, we will not be able to provide the right level of care for people who need to be hospitalized for things like heart attacks, strokes, injuries, and other medical and surgical emergencies. Why are we in a crisis? 1, incredibly low Medicaid reimbursement. 2, workforce shortages. We have a solution. That solution is the Transformational Community Care Coordination Program that we have proposed to the county, and that was selected by the county in their very diligent process for selecting grants. And we ask the county legislator to pass the ARPA funding proposals. Our community's health depends on it.
Hi, my name's Mulaney. I've been here before. Today, I'm actually going to talk about the most discriminated group in recent history, perhaps ever. These people were fired from jobs, kicked out of colleges and university, no matter how long they were at their careers or how close they were to getting their diplomas. Many of those were healthcare workers. They were not allowed to attend sporting events, comedy shows, plays, music concerts, festivals. Some couldn't shop in certain retail stores, grocery stores, depending on where you lived. They were denied surgery, basic medical care, and dentistry. They were denied life-saving transplants. They were not allowed to see dying loved ones in hospitals and senior living centers. They were not allowed to attend church, weddings, funerals, family holidays, Thanksgiving dinners, Christmas, attend birthday parties. They could not take a cruise. They couldn't fly planes to certain locations, be on trains or buses. They couldn't cross the border, not even to Canada. Who are the people I'm talking about? The unvaccinated. Those that chose not to get the vaccine for medical, religious, or personal choice reasons. We created a society on the basis of medical choice in the 21st century. Shame on all of us. And just recently, Pfizer and the CDC has now admitted that the COVID-19 vaccines were never studied to prevent transmission. They were moving at the speed of science and didn't have a chance to evaluate all that. So the lockdown, social distancing, masks were all unwarranted and unconstitutional based on what Julie just said, what the NIH just admitted to. And guess what? Those vaccines to this day are still not FDA approved. They are an experimental vaccine. So I want to know, why does our Department of Health still promote and encourage these vaccines that don't work? They are not safe and effective. Please, I implore you, please do some research. start asking more questions, because we will never forget what was done to the unvaccinated, and all those who participated in this will be held to account in time. Thank you.
Good evening. The New York Citizens Audit is a team of concerned citizen volunteers working to restore integrity to the Empire State. By gathering and analyzing publicly available voter data, we have uncovered shocking revelations about our rigged election system. Based on our findings, we are calling for a decertification of the entire New York State 2020 general election, especially a minimum of 89 improperly certified New York State legislative races. We seek to include and involve all New York State citizens in asserting every legal remedy within the New York State and United States constitutions to rectify the egregious violations of law in the New York State 2020 general election, including but not limited to the proceedings in judicial, executive, and legislative branches. We must uphold our right under the law to free and fair elections, including but not limited to one lawful citizen, one registration, one vote, hand-counted paper ballots, and citizen involvement in conducting, controlling, managing, monitoring, and verifying every stage of the election process. This is the way to secure our inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and the path to restore our truthful identity as a godly nation. 3 basic tenets of an election. 1, voter rolls must be accurate. 2, votes counted must be from qualified electors. 3, the number of votes must equal the number of voters. Were all significantly violated in the 2020 general election. New York Citizens Audit has already demonstrated that this result in the false certification of 95 state and federal legislators without examination of ballots or investigation of suspicious persons and activities, of which New York State Citizens Audit has received many reports. New York Citizens Audit has also demonstrated that every race statewide was marred by fraud. This report, which you all have a copy here, New York's 2020 general election, a study in deficits, is more timely than ever, given the New York voter rolls are likely no different today than they were in 2020. Please take action against all of the broken laws. Thank you.
Our next 3 speakers are Martha Winhaber, Terrence Schnurr, and Andrea Porter.
Good evening, legislators. Last Thursday, a tenured professor at one of America's most respected law schools, who successfully argued a key Supreme Court case on the relevant law, echoed what others have been saying for months, that using arbitrary target racial population percentages in redistricting is a constitutional minefield. It's true that no one can definitively say what courts will say tomorrow, but we can know what courts said yesterday and be informed by it. You are all literate and intelligent people. I urge each of you to read the decision in Cooper v. Harris and see if you don't agree with Professor Pildes, Professor Weiss, and me about what it says. One outspoken legislator has already suggested that this legislature produce another map based on arbitrary target percentages. I hope the 14 enrolled Republican legislators will have the moral courage to say no to anyone who insists on wasting any more precious time engaging in the folly of doing the same thing again and expecting different results. I hope that you will instead spend the scant time you have engaging with your Democratic colleagues and the administration to produce a reasonable and lawful map. If you are not willing to do that, I beg you to go to a court tomorrow and tell them, we're not willing to do our job. Please do it for us. Thank you and have a good night.
Hello to all. My name is Andrea Porter. I've always resided in Monroe County and currently live in Arundequoit. My children and grandchildren also live in our county, where we enjoy gathering at and exploring our beautiful parks and waterways. It's for their generations that I continue my passion as a lifelong climate action learner. My goals are best practices in caring for the earth while encouraging others to do the same. In the past, this was through leading scouts, youth groups, school clubs. Currently, I'm a member of Color Arundequoit Green. My message hasn't changed over the years, rather it's become more urgent. First, let me share my gratitude for the passing of the Climate Action Plan for the City of Rochester. With the plan passed, please hire a dedicated team focusing on its implementation to reach our 2030 goal. My concern today is compost facilities. To cut the production of methane gas, which becomes more potent in landfills and over time, therefore more quickly heats the earth, our county needs to build and maintain multiple organic waste facilities. You've just extended the Impact Earth compost pilot in the city, which is wonderful, except that the compost must be transported to Geneva, requiring the use of fossil fuels for this 30-plus mile drive and limiting the number of families included in the program. New York State has recently required restaurants and businesses of a certain size and within a specific distance from a compost facility to properly compost. This is not possible in our county. For residential and business composting to succeed, our county must leap forward and quickly act to build sites. Once built, all climate action groups can support by educating and encouraging our neighbors to compost their food, yard, and paper waste to create nutrient-rich compost to be used throughout the county. Thank you for the listen.
Our last two speakers are Dr. Elizabeth McMurray and Martha Wenhaber.
Good evening. Just to clarify, it's Elizabeth Murray, M-U-R-R-A-Y. And I will be speaking on behalf of the Child Protective Service workers. Are we okay? I'm sorry. You heard from my colleague last month, Dr. Ann Linnane. We are the two child abuse pediatricians who evaluate cases of abuse. We are co-located with the CPS Impact team. The Impact team is supposed to be 12 workers, probably could be 15. And they deal with the worst of the worst cases, the fatalities, the severe physical abuse in children under 3, burns, and child sexual abuse. They should be a team of a supervisor, 2 seniors, and 6 caseworkers. They are currently at 6, 4 caseworkers and 2 seniors. The reason they have so much upper leadership, the seniors and the supervisor, is because they also advise the regular investigative teams, and they also help other counties with severe physical abuse cases that are cared for at the Children's Hospital. As I mentioned, so they are down at 50%. When Dr. Linnane was here last month, she talked about what she was worried that could happen. Let me tell you about what recently has happened. As we were all coming into work one day, I heard some of the caseworkers talking about their concerns that with the upcoming winter and the changes in the RG&E rates, that they might not be able to pay for their utilities. One of those caseworkers, her very first case was to respond with the police for babies buried in the backyard. The police had arrived first and identified a need for cadaver dogs. As she was arriving, the cadaver dogs triggered on the grill in a fire pit. They found a distraught woman, clearly in the midst of a mental health crisis, who had delivered profoundly premature twins at home. And she, in her state, decided to grill the remains of those infants. There was a 2-year-old in that home as well present, thank goodness unharmed. So I will say to you all, as this winter, as it gets cold, it's out there snowing tonight, as you go to adjust your thermostat because you want to increase the heat in your home, please ask yourself, and in summary, please ask yourself, if you were working more than 40 hours a week, if you had an advanced degree, if you were seeing these ungodly horrors on a regular basis, but yet you knew you would not be able to pay your utilities this winter, would you do the job? Thank you very much.
This concludes the public forum.
Recess the November 15th, 2022 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature, and we will convene the Rochester Pure Water District, the Gates Chili Ogden Sewer District, Arundecoit Bay South Central Pure Waters District, and Northwest Quadrant Pure Waters District of the Pure Waters Administrative Board. If there is no objection, for the purpose of scheduling a public hearing on Tuesday, December 13th, 2022, before the Pure Waters Administrative Board and establishing a scale of charges for each district, we will move this with one introductory, table all districts with one vote, and fix the public hearings for each district with one vote. The clerk will see to it that individual motions and resolution numbers are assigned to each. Mr. Clerk, please note the attendance and read the first item on the agenda.
PWAB agenda item numbers 1, 4, 8, and 11. Referral 22-0367, establishing scale of charges for Rochester Pure Waters District, County Sewer District of County of Monroe, New York. Establishing scale of charges for Gates Chili Ogden Sewer District, County Sewer District for County of Monroe, New York. Establishing scale of charges for Arundecoit Bay South Central Pure Waters District, County Sewer District for County of Monroe, New York. And establishing scale of charges for Northwest Quadrant Pure Waters District, County Sewer District for County of Monroe, New York.
Moved by Legislator McCabe, seconded by Legislator Delahanty. This is for introductory purposes only. Next item.
PWAB agenda item numbers 2, 5, 9, and 12. Referral 22-0367, providing that resolution entitled Establishing Scale of Charges for Rochester Pure Waters District, County Sewer District of County of Monroe, New York, be tabled. Providing that resolution entitled Establishing Scale of Charges for Gates Chili Ogden Sewer District, County Sewer District for County of Monroe, New York, be tabled. Providing that resolution entitled Establishing Scale of Charges for Arundecoit Bay South Central Pure Waters District, County Sewer District for County of Monroe, New York, be tabled. And providing that resolution entitled Establishing Scale of Charges for Northwest Quadrant Pure Waters District, County Sewer District for County of Monroe, New York, be tabled.
Moved by Legislator McCabe, seconded by Legislator Delahanty. These are motions to table. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
PWEB agenda item numbers 3, 6, 10, and 13. Referral 22-0367, fixing public hearing for scale of charges for Rochester Pure Waters District, County Sewer District for County of Monroe, New York. Fixing public hearing for scale of charges for Gates Chili Ogden Sewer District, County Sewer District for County of Monroe, New York. Fixing public hearing for scale of charges for Arundecoit Bay South Central Pure Waters District, County Sewer District for County of Monroe, New York. Fixing public hearing for scale of charges for Northwest Quadrant Pure Waters District, County Sewer District for County of Monroe, New York.
Moved by Legislator McCabe, seconded by Legislator Delahanty. This is to set the public hearing. Is there any discussion? Being none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
PWEB agenda item number 7, referral 22-0338, amending intermunicipal agreements between Arundecoit Bay South Central Pure Waters District and Town of Webster.
Moved by legislator McCabe, seconded by legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
No.
We will now recess.
Hang on. Oh, yes, go ahead.
We will now recess the Rochester Pure Waters District, Gates, Chalai, Ogden Sewer District, Arundecoit Bay, South Central Pure Water Districts, and Northwest Quadrant Pure Water District, and adjourn the Pure Waters Administrative Board. The November 15th, 2022 meeting of the legislature is reconvened. We will now proceed with the consideration of local laws. Will the clerk please read the first item on the agenda?
Item number 1, referral 22-0353.LL, providing that local law entitled Waiver of Residency Requirement for Jail Deputies be lifted from the table.
Moved by legislator Dondorfer, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to lift from the table. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 2, referral number 22-0353.LL, providing that local law entitled Waiver of Residency Requirement for Jail Deputies be adopted.
Moved by legislator Dondorfer, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Go ahead, legislator Hugh Smith.
Thank you, Madam President. Through you to the administration. My understanding is this type of waiver has been done for other entities within the county. Could you tell me which entities they were?
Through the president, there are residency requirements are defined depending on the position by either local policy or by local or state law. So they're on an individualized basis or on a categorical basis. The county could choose to waive residency for certain positions as a matter of policy, but not positions that are considered public officers. So jail deputies are considered public officers. That then triggers an analysis of whether the residency requirement can be waived by a local law. In this case, because other counties across the state have waived this exact requirement, the legislature is able to waive it by operation of local law, but it requires the local law, not merely action by the administration.
Thank you, through you, Madam President, to the administration. What I'm trying to get at is we have aspirations to recruit a diverse workforce. My concern is if we're waiving the residency requirement so that now we're recruiting from outside Monroe County, what are the odds we're going to be able to recruit folks to these positions who would bolster our
through the president, Paul Simonelli, on behalf of the sheriff. Actually, several benefits to this it'll increase the pool of possible applicants, obviously dramatically. We've done extensive saturation marketing within the county, and we've seen a constant decline in the number of folks that have actually sat for the test, to the point where by the time we get through the testing, the physical fitness, the background checks, we very seldom have been able to put the number of people in a class that we had hoped to put into a class. So that over time now, we've gotten to a point where there's been, we've been on a negative, or we've been not growing, we've been shrinking to the point where we're at more than 60 vacancies in the jail. So our recruiting efforts to seek out a diverse workforce will just be expanded to a larger population base throughout the region and the state.
Thank you. Through you, Madam President, to the administration, how long were we engaged in those recruiting efforts? I understand they've been declining over time. I understand it's a crisis, and we have 60 vacancies, but how long have we been that particular recruiting endeavor saturated?
Through the president, we have been engaged. This sheriff's administration has been engaged since day one. It was one of the initial initiatives that Sheriff Baxter implemented immediately upon taking office 5 years ago, and it's only grown each year in our effort, scope, and reach, trying to use every available marketing tool we can to find qualified applicants, help them through the process as much as possible, always with an eye to trying to maintain or to grow the diversity of the workforce.
Thank you. Through you, Madam President, to the administration, I appreciate the notion of expanding the pool of applicants, but if we're waiving a residency requirement, it seems that that pool of applicants would only come from a reasonable driving distance from the place of employment, being the county jail. So do we have an expectation of like how many more applicants we would realistically be targeting? I mean, they're not going to drive from Westchester County.
Through the president, let me try to draw an analogy for you. Department of Corrections at the state level, most of the folks that work for the Department of Corrections travel significantly for work anywhere, and they get assigned wherever the state chooses to assign them. We've seen some closures of some state facilities in the region, and we've actually had people approaching us that are now maybe driving 4 to 6 hours to get to work, working in corrections, looking for an alternative and looking at possibly lateraling to our jail once, if this measure is passed. So I don't know that there's an expectation that people aren't willing to drive, especially those that may already be working for the Department of Corrections.
That's helpful information. Thank you for that. Could you give me a sense, do you know these state employees who are looking for new opportunities, are they a fairly diverse workforce?
Through the president, I don't have the workforce numbers for the Department of Corrections. I couldn't give you those. I could probably find them if you'd like me to see what I can find, but I don't know what the numbers are within the Department of Corrections.
Okay, and my last, I guess, question is, attorney indicated that we've gone through this type of a waiver for other positions. Have we done any analysis of that as to whether it's a successful tool? And if so, can you give us an example?
Through the president. We just have all discussion through the president, please.
Yes, please, through the president to the administration.
Through the president, anecdotally, there are some counties in our region that have this waiver, including Ontario County and Livingston, and they've been able to recruit many of the, especially Department of Corrections, people interested in laterally transferring to county sheriff's offices. There's several throughout the state. In fact, if in looking at the times that county legislatures have passed this type of legislation, specifically the position of jail deputy sheriff, jailer, is one of the most common ones that, and through my research that I saw throughout the state when this was used.
Madam President, I yield the floor.
Seeing none, Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
On transfers, or are we looking to recruit new recruits?
Through the president, it's both. The recruit pool, as I said, has been declining significantly just in the last 5 years that we've been trying to fill the spots. And there's also, once again, sometimes there's opportunities out of adversity with the state closing many of their facilities. It's displacing people who had a permanent position. For instance, there were 3 prisons in the Watertown area in Jefferson County, maybe 4 prisons in Jefferson County. Now there's 1. All those people have been displaced. They're all traveling now to go to work, and some of them as far down, as Westchester County or other places. So the opportunity exists now to not only broaden the recruit population, but also to see what folks are interested in laterally transferring.
Currently have a jail academy. Yes.
Through the president, we did start a class this week, and even with the pickup of those 12 individuals, we still are at that number that I just quoted to you earlier, 60. And that includes several key command officer positions that we're not promoting to, because that starts a whole downstream effect of taking more folks away from the duties of a lower ranking deputy. So, but we're currently with that new class still at that 60 number. And that's without anticipating people that are planning on leaving in the next 6 months.
One more question, through you to the administration. What are we anticipating for retirements within the next 6 to 12 months?
Through the president, we anticipate through the beginning of April, 9 more retirements.
Thank you, Madam President. I yield the floor.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Go ahead, legislator. The mic, I could barely hear you.
President, what is the a jail deputy in Monroe County?
Through the president, I don't have that number right in front of me, but just also, we just completed negotiations with the jail union, and that number will be changing January 1st. So I can get those numbers for you, what they are currently and what they will be as of January 1st. I just don't have them in front of me.
Through the president, what does the training look like for a jail deputy?
Through the president, the time for training initially is a 4-month academy, and then there's 2 more months or 8 weeks of field training, working with a field training officer within the jail. So, for instance, the class that started Monday, you can pretty much mark down on your calendar 6 months from this past Monday. That is the first time they'll be available to work in the jail independently.
Go ahead, legislator Hugh Smith.
To the administration, is that training paid?
Is the training paid?
Through the president, yes, it is.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Off the deck. Duly noted. Item carries. Next item. Yes, Legislator Brew. I don't know if something's wrong with the microphones, but thank you.
Test one. Okay, here I am. I propose we move the remaining agenda items as one, with the following items to be left out. That would be referral item number 20 and all of the matters of urgency, which would be referral items number 25 through 35. So all of the items to be passed as one, with the exception of item number 20 and items number 25 through 35.
Say second, Legislator Roman.
Yes, she did.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Are your mics on over there? Oh,
No,
okay.
that, no, yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Um,
Moved by, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes, I have a motion to move agenda item numbers 3 through 24, because matters of urgency start at 25, as a whole, except for item number 20, which is moved by Legislator Brew and seconded by Legislator Roman. And I had a request from Legislator Vecchio to allow declaring her interest on referrals, as we've done in the past. If any legislator wishes to declare their interest on a referral that gets moved as a whole, either have your staff or yourself reach out to me, and I will make sure it's noted on the journal and on the resolution.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Yes, Legislator Mafucci.
Thank you. I move that the Ways and Means Committee be discharged from further consideration of referral 22-0333. Authorize grant contracts and appropriation transfers pursuant to American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA.
What was the referral number? I didn't hear.
I'm sorry, Legislator Mafucci, did you say discharge 333, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, 0333.
Could you tell me the referral number? I didn't hear him.
22-0333.
And there was a mover and a seconder?
Yes, I had it moved by Legislator Mafucci, seconded by Legislator Hasman.
Okay, let's go to a roll call vote.
Mr. Brew? No. Mr. Brew votes no. Ms. Roman? Yes. Ms. Roman votes yes. Mr. Alcoffer? Mr. Alcoffer votes no. Ms. Barnhart? Yes. Ms. Barnhart votes yes. Mr. Baines? Yes. Mr. Baines votes yes. Mr. Blankley? Yes. Mr. Blankley votes yes. Mr. Burgess? Yes. Mr. Burgess votes yes. Mr. Colby? No. Mr. Colby votes no. Mr. Delahaney? No. Mr. Delahaney votes no. Ms. Delvecchio Hoffman? Ms. Delvecchio Hoffman votes yes. Mrs. DeFlorio? No. Mrs. DeFlorio votes no. Mr. Dondorfer? No. Mr. Dondorfer votes no. Mr. Frazier? Yes. Mr. Frazier votes yes. Ms. Hasman? Yes. Ms. Hasman votes yes. Mr. Hebert? No. Mr. Hebert votes no. Ms. Hughes Smith? Yes. Ms. Hughes Smith votes yes. Mr. Johns? Mr. Johns votes no. Mr. Keller? No. Mr. Keller votes no. Mr. Long? Yes. Mr. Long votes yes. Mr. Mafucci? Mr. Mafucci votes yes. Mr. McCabe? No. Mr. McCabe votes no. Mr. Milne? No. Mr. Milne votes no. Mr. Morris? No. Mr. Morris votes no. Ms. Smith? No. Ms. Smith votes no. Ms. Taylor is excused. Ms. Vasquez Simmons? Ms. Vasquez Simmons votes yes. Ms. Vecchio? Yes. Ms. Vecchio votes yes. Mr. Udelson is excused. President Lamar?
No.
President Lamar votes no. 13 to 14, motion to discharge fails. Item number 20, referral number 22-0351, authorizing transfer of contingency appropriation to the Office of the Sheriff for additional criminal investigation overtime.
Moved by Legislator Dondorfer, seconded by Legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Legislator Delvecchio Hoffman.
Sorry? Was that a no?
Item carries. Next item.
Item number 25, referral 22-0365, authorizing accepting local government records management improvement fund grant from New York State Archives for records management and digitization project.
Moved by Legislator Delahanty, seconded by Legislator Brew. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 26, referral 22-0366, confirming and adopting assessment roles of Pure Waters districts for 2023 and confirmation of and adoption of assessment roles.
Moved by Legislator Delahanty, seconded by Legislator Brew. This is for introductory purposes only. Next item.
Item number 27, referral 22-0366, providing that resolution entitled confirming and adopting assessment roles of Pure Waters districts for 2023 be tabled.
Moved by Legislator Delahanty, seconded by Legislator Brew. This is a motion to table. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 28, referral number 22-0366, scheduling public hearings for assessment roles of the Pure Waters districts for 2023 and confirmation and adoption of assessment roles.
Moved by Legislator Delahanty, seconded by Legislator Brew. This is to set the public hearing. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 29, referral 22-0368, adoption of 2023 Monroe County budget and establishing 2023 classification, compensation, and salary schedule for Monroe County employees.
Moved by Legislator Brew, seconded by Legislator Delahanty, seconded by Legislator Brew. This is for introductory purposes only. Next item.
Item number 30, referral 22-0368, providing that resolution entitled Adoption of 2023 Monroe County Budget and Establishing 2023 Classification, Compensation, and Salary Schedule for Monroe County employees be tabled.
Moved by Legislator Delahanty, seconded by Legislator Brew. This is a motion to table. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 31, referral 22-0368, fixing public hearing on county executive's proposed 2023 Monroe County budget.
Moved by Legislator Delahanty, seconded by Legislator Brew. This is to set the public hearing. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 32, referral 22-0369, authorize a grant contract with Finger Lakes Performing Provider System for a complex care program.
Moved by Legislator Mills, seconded by Legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Go ahead, Legislator DeFlorio.
Yeah, through the president to the administration, could you please give us at least a brief overview of what this contract is actually providing to the county?
Through the president, the purpose of this contract is to use ARPA funding to address the public health crisis that we've heard about that was described in the public forum tonight regarding the capacity challenges at hospitals. As we've heard, hospitals are at capacity. They have these patients who require an alternative level of care. Nursing homes, there is capacity, but there are challenges in terms of the acuity of care that these patients require, in terms of staffing. So this program would be modeled closely on a program that exists in the Syracuse area, so the money would be used to administered by FLIPS to provide an incentive for nursing homes. So if they took these difficult to place patients, they would be the idea is that would reduce the capacity burden on the hospitals, and this would provide a financial incentive for the nursing homes to take those patients.
So, I'm sorry, through the president to the administration, so this money that we're authorizing is to incentivize the nursing homes? I guess I'm sorry, I'm still a little confused. I'm keenly aware of the need out there. I'm just trying to understand what we're buying. Are we, is this $5 million providing more staffing in these facilities? Or I guess I'm trying to understand what we're buying here.
Through the president. So the money would flow to the nursing homes. So it would be administered by FLIPS, would go to nursing homes, and it would help the nursing homes bear the financial burden of taking these difficult to place patients. These patients in general present a variety of challenges, whether that's the level of medical care they need, the behavioral or mental health issues. So the nursing homes, then it costs them more to care for them. They may then take a loss on those patients without extra funding. So the idea being that this would help fill the gap to push the nursing homes in a direction where they would be interested in taking cohorts of these patients.
Thank you. So through the president to the administration, though, this funding is not to authorize additional money for staffing or to create additional beds. It's simply to help incentivize nursing homes to essentially give them additional operating funds to hopefully take more of these patients. Is that correct?
The nursing homes could through the president, the nursing homes could use the funding for whatever they need. That might include staffing, that might include extra shifts, but it would fill the gap that they have, the loss that they would otherwise take on these patients.
Thank you. To the president to the administration, I guess my concern is, in having spent way too much time in both hospital and nursing care facilities recently, my understanding that they're short-staffed, so they can't accept more patients because they don't have available staff. So it's not that they don't want to necessarily take more patients, they don't have the staff to care for them. So I guess I'm just trying to understand how this grant is going to help get more staffing into the nursing homes.
Through the president, that certainly is a factor, but it's not the sole factor. As FLIPS developed this proposal, they did pull in skilled nursing facilities and receive their input. So this model came from input from the SNFs given to FLIPS.
Thank you.
Senator Colby.
Through you, Madam President, to the administration, is there any, I don't know if I want to say, feedback or any checks or balances to make sure that if they receive this grant money, that they do increase their number of bed patients they can handle because of these funds?
Through the president, again, with this program modeled after the program that exists in Syracuse, nursing homes would only receive funding if they did in fact take a cohort of these difficult to place patients.
Thank you. That's good to hear.
Go ahead, legislator.
To the administration, a funding question. I heard this is using ARPA funds. When the county executive announced his hopes for the ARPA funds, he announced that $20 million were being held aside for COVID-related things. Is this coming from that funding?
Through the president, yes, it's coming from that separate public health pot.
Thank you, Madam President. I yield the floor.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Go ahead, legislator.
Thank you, Madam President. Would you describe this issue as a chronic issue, Madam President, to the administration?
Through the president, from the hospital perspective, it is an acute issue.
Madam President, to the administration, I need some clarification on that. I'm not describing the hospital's immediate concern about what to do tomorrow. I'm saying is there an ongoing issue with nursing homes not taking difficult clients, patients? And what would the duration of that problem be? Is that issue going to last for 2 years, 5 years? How long has it been going on? We're putting $5 million into it right now. That's the plan. What I'm trying to get at is, what's the sustainability of this program?
Through the president, it's a current acute situation. When the last time we spoke with the hospitals, they're hopeful that we'll see a decline in the exasperation of the EDs by spring, but we can't guarantee what we're going to see in the future. This is just the information that we have today.
Thank you, Madam President.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 33, referral number 22-0370, confirming appointment of Elections Commissioner Jacqueline Ortiz.
Moved by Legislator Delahanty, seconded by Legislator Brew. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 35, referral number 22-0424, amend Resolution 207 of 2022, the standard workday and reporting resolution for county elected and appointed officials for retirement credit purposes.
Moved by Legislator Delahanty, seconded by Legislator Brew. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. There being no unfinished business, Legislator Brew.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. This honorable body stands adjourned. Our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, December 13th, 2022 at 6 p.m.